Sprinkle, sprinkle. More like sea drizzle, sea drizzle. uh, you know, I felt like I should have trademarked Drizzle Drizzle, you know? Because, like, look, it's for the internet. My name was C Drizzle before everyone else. I'm like one of these Trevor Bauer accusers, you know? Take advantage and strike while the iron's hot. Don't come out and say something happened until, you know, there's some money on the line. Or like this Dak Prescott, which apparently has exceeded the statute of limitations. But this man's like suing just because she's gone publicly with something, even though she can't sue. So by him suing her, she can actually sue in relative order on what he's suing her about, which is something she can't sue him, but because he's suing her, she can sue him. Makes sense. Oh, this is God's country. Well, unless, you know, disavow our Lord and Savior. Amen. Why do they call it amen? Is it there's men, or it's a man, or it's a man, you know? It's amazing how the difference between the A and the M makes a big old difference. Kind of like it's morning. And I am mourning the death of my will to write a will. And you know what they say? It takes less time to write a will than it is to actually build a will that gives you the strength worth living for. Is that why they call it a will? Goodwill. But yeah, you know what? Sprinkle, sprinkle, right? Drizzle, drizzle. And really, like, honestly, like, the whole thing, it feels like it's forced. It's like a forced controversy, right? Because honestly, all these dudes, like, you can tell by the way they're saying it, they partially mean it, but at the same time, they're going extreme, like, you shouldn't have to clean your car. She should clean your car. They're basically just saying, they're just regurgitating the absolute reverse of what Sprinkle Sprinkle would say, you know? Or what, you know, the ladies that love that divine femininity of, you know, convenience, of responsibility. But honestly, you know, it's like anything. If you actually listen to a guru, if you listen to a life coach of some sort, and you take everything so literal and had no nuance based off your own life, your own experience, then you know what? You deserve to get a little drizzle drizzle. Or you deserve as a guy to get sprinkled sprinkled. Abused and reused and recycled. And because she got a lot of fake nails she could be recycling. Okay. Whisper something in my ear. She does seem like she'd be the type to, like, hypnotize you, you know? Not because she's like this, you know, overly sexual being, but she does have, like, a very convincing voice of some sort, I guess you could say. Like, if she were to whisper something in my ear and be like, take me to the ATM, I would take her there, you know? But, you know, the checks are going to be pretty blank in return. But I guess the issue people have is because, you know, she was famous before, but now she's kind of entering this mainstream, which, you know, it's only going to help her, you know, so, you know, see what a little, I don't even know if it's called misogyny, but, you know, you see what a little hatred of woman perceived on the surface can do for you. Hatred makes you money, ladies. So take notes. God, I hate when bitches say take notes. Sorry. Shouldn't use the term bitches. But dumb bitches. When they say take notes and then they put the little emoji of writing something, like they're writing a will, I guess. It's like, how about, no, I don't need to take notes based off your general ass life advice of, hey, if it was meant to be, you wouldn't have to question it. It's like, nah, you know what? I was meant to, go from destination A to destination B today. But I ran over a squirrel, big old tooth got stuck in my tire, and half a mile later, turned into a business complex because, chipmunk hit a speed bump. Alvin, which was my AAA guy. I felt like every fifth time you get your tow truck, the guy's going to be named Alan. Or your financial advisor. But nah, you know what? It's, to me, I think it's just humorous, And it just shows how very in our feelings we have gotten as guys and girls, It's really like, why, at the end of the day, it's not being recommended in my algorithm. I'm aware of her because, I have a female companion that listens. But, other than that, it's not popping up in my algorithm. You would have to go out of your way to listen to it. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, if you let someone that teaches what she teaches and you get duped by a girl doing that reverse psychology stuff on you, then you know what? You deserve to have that done to you. Because this stuff's really, she's really just saying like, you can get by a lot of dumbass dudes doing this shit. You know what? Maybe I'm getting duped and I don't know. Maybe I'm getting sprinkled all over the place. Because I'm dusty. Like the tooth fairy. Get it? Chipmunk, tooth, fairy. Oh. I'm a fairy boy. Ugh, that didn't sound good. It's very obvious. I would be a fairly odd parent. Oh, Jesus, Clint. But yeah. I guess the moral of all that is I'm not a big fan of sprinkles anyways. I think they're a wasted topping. I think they're just wasted on, we put on donuts, we put on cakes. So when she's saying sprinkle, she's really saying you're the cake. Well, she better have some cake. But she's saying you're the cake. And I'm the sprinkle. I'm what makes the presentation of this place looks great. But don't forget, you're the cake. That's the way I take it. And you put a little drizzle of cream cheese icing on that fucking face. I'm kidding. I think. But yeah, sprinkle. All right, let me just pinch my fingers, poke it out my asshole, and call it a sour patch. Not a kid, because I already talked about fingers up a butthole. But anyways, booty. But yeah, all right, guys. Welcome to episode 276 of the Often Be Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, most important, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeet. Yeah, recording this at 9:13 p.m. Eastern on April 22nd, 2024 for the archives. Which I feel like if it's it's always the 21st or 22nd. It's always like a new season. It's always technically like supposed to be like a new season. I don't know if it's a spring season now, because you know these technical seasons always seem to start like 2 months after the actual season fucking started. So I don't know, maybe the spring season doesn't actually start till June. I don't know. It feels like it's spring season, you know. But what do I know? I don't have a bed with springs. But I'll be on Jerry Springer to see if the child is mine. That's kind of a weird avenue to be like, hey, you know, we just can't figure out this child's mind. Let's go on TV. Wait 3 months to actually go on TV to find out, when you could have just told me in the first place. Or we could just went to, I don't know, the doctor to find out. Been a pretty simple process. We're like, nah, you know what? Let's go through all these hoops, embarrass our family, cost ourselves a lot of time and energy, and that's how we'll find out the obvious answer that you're not the father. You know, that's how we do it in America. We do everything the hard way, you know. Everything's got to be hard for no fucking reason. Absolutely. But you know what's not hard? Today's sponsor, Jello. I'm kidding. I would never have Jello as a sponsor. Unless, you know, it's a Lube Jello. Lube flavored Jello. I mean, does the lube flavor really matter? I mean, you're not eating the lube. I mean, I guess your dick is. Oh, whoa, wait. Or maybe not. Maybe you're using lube to, you know, lubricate your hands on the steering wheel. If you drive a lot in the day, you know, you get a little calluses. Put a little lube on your hands for the gym. Change it up from the chalk. You know, chalk has pesticides and, you know, magnesium, sulfate, citrate, ass weight that fucks up your hands and is bad for your hands. High blood pressure. You get the chalk, it creates higher blood pressure. So use lube, you know. Sure, your gym wouldn't mind. I mean, basically, if you go to Planet Fitness, I mean, everyone just basically produces lube when they sweat. But yeah. You know, that is one thing I do miss about being overweight, I guess you could say. I miss the feeling of sweating. And feeling that real good sweat. You know, that good. It didn't smell good, but it felt good. But, you know, there was something about, like, the satisfaction of being so tired after doing simple. You know, sometimes we're starting to become too healthy. We're starting to become too fit in this world. We're not sweat. Everything's too easy. Like, everything's actually, like, way too easy to do. You know, my body should be completely fucked up after an intense leg day. And now it's just like, you know, you just fucked up your right groin and hip. But other than that, you know, you can walk. I miss the days where I couldn't walk after a squat day. It's like a girl's first time doing anal. I remember my first time squatting. It's so crazy when you look back at the origin of what you've developed so strong at, or at least adequate at. I remember the first time I ever got under a squat bar. I legitimately couldn't squat, at least to the standards, right? I remember putting a 10-pound plate on each side. This is a true story. A 10-pound plate on each side. And your boy had cake. But, you know, not all cakes are created equal. There was not a equal distribution or just distribution. And it hurt. And I sucked at it. I was shaking. It felt harder to, like, it's weird. And this is how the body develops and we develop. Something at the same point, I don't know, 12 years ago, let's just say, the first time I squatted with 10-pound plates on each side, that felt 8 times harder than me doing a heavy set of 3 sets of squat doing over 300 pounds. doing them good, efficiently, full control. And it's weird to see how just development, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's crazy how you go from that to that in a single lifetime. Like, there's transformations, there's great, consistent improvement. But to go from that to that, that doesn't, there's something unique about humans, We're like just one big human centipede because everyone just wants to eat ass these days. But if on your deathbed, never mind. You know what? I'm not even gonna say that. I don't want to get fucked up by the algorithm. But any woohoo. So yeah. Wizards. I'll tell you what, I like, it's weird to say that you like watching this stuff, because people might think if you watch this stuff, if you go out of your way to search these stories, even if it's from a understanding standpoint, I feel like the government's watching me like, is this guy about to start a child predator KKK cult? Like, because the stuff I be watching, you'd be like, you really have a heavy interest in guys getting busted for for pedophilia, or watching people interview or go to these places where there's still very intense racism, or go in these places where there's these hate groups and people that still practice and are part of the wizardry, the KKK. And it's a weird subject for obvious reasons. But I think the fascination with this stuff is they're like on the most heinous ends of the spectrum. And it's a part of life that I could never understand what could drive someone to go down and go so deep down that rabbit hole that they become so blinded that at some point to be like, you know what? Something about this just doesn't fire right in my in the way I think. And it does show how, one, your environment growing up, the people you surround yourself with, but not all the time are all these things from nurture, right? Not all these, because there's a lot of these cases, especially with pedophilia and stuff, where it's not people that grew up where they were abused or something, because that's typically the most common one, is the defense, quote unquote, for pedophiles. Like, no, they just need rehab, they need help because they were abused and it happened to them. And and there's a lot of these people, it's like, no, actually none of this ever happened to them. They had kids and then they started doing this weird shit because they were in a sexless marriage and they're fucking sick fucks. And it just goes to show that people aren't really into necessarily, like, there's straight people and there's gay people and there's whatever else, whatever Gerard Carmichael is doing nowadays, which I heard a bit about that shit, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the extent. And so I would have to do more about what people are up in arms about him about. But apparently he's got some weird kinks, which, I don't know. I don't really care, I guess. But any Boo Bear, I guess what fascinates me about these lifestyles is just the extremism of, it's actually harder, especially when it comes to hatred. It's actually harder to consistently make an active choice to either avoid, an active choice to show hatred, or an active choice to show some type of discrimination, than it is to just go about your day and not really worry about it, And I think that's what we all, for better or worse, like, we all need companionship. This sounds like I'm defending a lot of shit. Let me get to the point here. We all need companionship. Like, I do believe this is true. I believe someone can be completely straight, never have a desire for the same sex, guy or girl, whoever may apply. And companionship and just the feeling of intimacy can overpower whatever sexuality you think you identify as, you know? That's where the stuff gets tricky, because what's more powerful? Sticking to what your previous domain of sexuality you have established yourself over, whether it's 15, 30, 45 years or 60 years of life. Compared to you go through a couple rough patches. Intimacy is still intimacy. And the power of dopamine that hits you. Now, how am I going to attach this to racism? Well, let me help you. I think the feeling, especially with a lot of these environments, are typically very deep, rural. Sound like I'm saying Carl from Jimmy Neutron. These rural. That when you get deep in the weeds and that type of environment, that type of living, it's really like, it's either kind of like a boom or bust. Like, you either have to kind of go all in on your beliefs and feelings when you're around certain people that think a certain way, or you have to completely separate yourself. And really, being broke, being poor, leaves you with a lot less options. And it's easier to have the feeling of unity, family, connectivity. Whether that's behind hatred that is disguised as a belief, whether that's disguised as a ritual, whether it's disguised as discrimination, but at the way it's rationalized at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it is a belief. And belief is such a strong motherfucker. It makes people get on their knees and, get peed in the face on. And it makes people belief of, I guess it's more like the belief of fear to be in a directionless life, for better or worse. Because at the end of the day, I think we all seek some type of direction. We want to be a part of something. We want to be a part of something that has a trajectory. And if you don't have a real belief system, if you don't know what you like or don't like, if you don't even know if you have a feeling of what you like or don't like, I think that's how you can enter into these. It could be very easy to fall into these hate groups. It could be very easy to fall into certain lifestyles that you're not really sure if it's conducive to you. But it at least makes you feel like it's going to lead to something. Or you're going to at least feel protection. And so, I don't know. I was just thinking about it and how weirdly it all kind of connects in this ball of dumb fuckery, It's like that Wonder Ball, that big chocolate candy thing that used to always be like by the checkout line, these Wonder Ball, kind of like a Pokeball, but of chocolate. That's what I think a lot of this stuff is. It's a wonder within a ball of choosing of kind of what you're presented and what you have to get, what you have to kind of deal with. So, I don't know, and I'm on to the Chattahoochee. Little smoochy coochie in her hoochie. That's not the lyrics of the song, but, I'll take you down the river, all right. And cry me. But yeah. Anyways, enough of the happy to be here shit that y'all want me on. But yeah, so what's going on out there? Oh yeah, NBA playoffs. Yeah. I remember this used to be a sports pod, but you know what happens? I don't watch enough sports. So, but apparently Joker did dress like Gru from Despicable. Was it Gru from is it Igor or Gru from fucking Ratatouille, or is it Gru from the movie? God damn it. Igor? Yeah, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's about how much playoff basketball you're going to get from me. But you know what I think is interesting? All right, so here's what I'll talk about. I know I'm kind of late to the party here, but I do think it's I have talked, to tie it in the playoffs, because I didn't realize literally next month it'll be a year since I started betting. And it's always funny when you see how much money you've won. Like, man, I've won this many bets and this much money. And you're like, how come I've never deposited any money? You're like, oh, okay. But it's like, hey, you have potential. It's like, do I? And they're like, eh. But, so, Jontay Porter, right? It's pretty, it's like, I think a week or two old story where he's been banned for life from the NBA for quote-unquote betting on NBA basketball. Not only betting on NBA, but betting not just on his team, but betting literally on himself. Not only betting on himself, but betting on himself to do jack shit. Which, I have mixed feelings on. Because you know what? Obviously, the issue is there's obviously evidence in a game, random ass games where he chose, I'm going to hit less than 1 3-pointer, right? And he was getting garbage time in the third and fourth quarter because the Raptors suck ass. So he might actually have some opportunity. He's like, oh shit. So this man, after literally like a minute and a half, quote unquote, had knee soreness or had some type of hurt injury, but it also happened to be on games where, this is weird. Jontay Porter has like 12,000 bets on him tonight. Typically, he's not even available for a bet. But for some reason, people like Jontay Porter, like, he would be the type of player that you would have to, on your mobile app, you would have to scroll all the way to almost the bottom. Because no one's placing a bet on Jontay Porter. If people are placing bets on Jontay Porter, which probably why it was caught, like, typically you get this many people betting a range, and all of a sudden these random nights, you have millions of dollars on you. Weirdly, from these accounts connected to specific areas, you have a 40,000, like no one, even the most extreme people in betting wouldn't be betting these numbers of, what was it, like $68,000 on Jontay Porter? Like, you don't bet $68,000 on a guy who may get some garbage time minutes. You would bet $68,000 on a guy that is going to be playing 38, 40 minutes, and he's going to get his opportunities, and he's a trustworthy player to hit his numbers more times than not. So obviously, this man was betting on the under for himself, which, I respect. We live in a society where it's always bet on yourself. It's always always shoot for the stars. Never be realistic with yourself. is like, you know what? You can accomplish anything. Jontay Porter's like, you know what? I'm betting on myself, but you know what? I know my potential. I've reached it. I shouldn't even be in the NBA. I'm already winning. He made the risk calculation saying, hey, I'm not going to be playing this league probably 3 years from now. This money's going to dry up. I need to be enhancing my income. I'm not getting my brother's $150 million contract like he is from the Nuggets. This guy is like, no, you know what? I'm probably going to make another $6 to $8 million in the NBA before tax. You know what? I need some, this is a real side hustle. And you know what's going to be funny? Like 2 or 3 years from now, which maybe not, because now I think about it, since these gambling companies are literally in business with these leagues, he's not going to be like the face of ambassador or doing these fantasy league NBA games, these fantasy NBA sports shows. Like, he's not going to be doing any of that because they have partnerships in the NBA, and he's disgraced to be like Pete Rose, except at least Pete Rose bet on himself to do good, or maybe he did. I don't remember. Pete Rose did bet on his team to lose, but he betted on himself. I know he betted on himself to do really good. He bet on himself to do better than whatever the line was. Now, I don't know about his team because he's like, the rest of y'all are kind of ass. But I'm hitting 420 right now, But you know what? I think one thing we could all take from Jontay Porter is, you know what? This man is the most honest man probably in like sports history. He's like, you know what? I don't have a real future in this. If it wasn't for the name on the back of my jersey, who my brother was and my family lineage, I probably wouldn't be getting the benefit of doubt of being in the league like Giannis's brother. Just be honest about it. I don't know. I'm not saying he was a bad player, but he was one of those, he had to go through the G League. He had to go do all that stuff just to get like the 10th, 11th, 12th spot on literally the worst team in the fucking league, or one of them. So this man was like, you know what? I see the writing on the wall. This man's like, I'm not really going to be changing. I'm not going to be written in the NBA history books. But no, he will be, for all the wrong reasons. Like a Nickelback album. But you know what? He had a greatest hits. He's feeling like a rock star, all right. Say what you want, man. I guess I don't condone gambling. You're in your own sport. That's this weird Shohei Ohtani thing, which honestly, the more I think about it, I really do think that Shohei did have stuff. He did have knowledge of it. I do think he partaked in bets. I do. And, because the whole tone of how the story first broke, he was basically open like, you know what, I was trying to help a friend pay off debts, but they're like, hey, if you say that you help him pay off debts, I mean, you go open a can of worms of, gambling things, you're doing illegal bookies and stuff like that. He's like, oh, well, no, actually, I had nothing to do with this. I don't know what in tartar sauce is going on here. So, I'm not like, I do think it's weird. Which, by the way, did you know in Russia, insider trading is not illegal? That's crazy. I found that out by watching a movie. So, obviously it's true. But yeah, it's just, I think we should honestly, people want to shame Jontay Porter. I just think it's a little unnecessary. Because you know what? In today's climate, I think a lot more people would have would potentially put themselves in the same situation as him. So, I don't know. Because honestly, like, where else are you going to really, like, if you're not getting endorsements, you're getting a salary contract. Like, you practice a couple hours a day. You go to the games. You're not really playing. Like, you got a lot of time in your hands, you know. You're sitting on the bench all the time. All you're seeing is Prize Picks, DraftKings, FanDuel. And apparently, college basketball and football, I think, they're trying to, especially college basketball, they're trying to take individual player prop bets away from being able to be bet on. Which actually, you know what? I do think it is kind of weird. Like, I'm not saying I haven't betted recently on women's college basketball like everyone else did, or college basketball during the March Madness, but it is kind of weird betting on people who aren't all getting paid, right? Yes, there's NIL money and stuff like that, but it's weird. Put it like this. It's weird how there could be more money made somewhere in the world off what an individual did in a game, that individual who did the goddamn thing, even the people that get paid the most in the league, won't get as much as when an individual who all they had to do is be like, hey, this person is going to get 26 points tonight, and I'm going to get $600,000 because I placed X amount on it. Like, think about how crazy that is. I know people say capitalism, all that, but there should be maybe there should be a rule where the amount of money made on a player in a pool or on a website can't exceed past their daily game salary, or how much they get paid for playing a single game. Whatever the averages out to, like whatever Malik Beasley gets paid, like a mid-level salary player compared to what a Giannis gets paid, a high salary, or a Jontay Porter. It can't, if Jontay Porter is making $40,000 in a game, the whole amount of poll for how much is bet, once it hits $40,000 in value, it should be taken off the board. I don't know. Call me crazy. I don't know. I know that sounds a bit extreme, but here's maybe a way to make this fair. And I know people are like, oh, athletes get paid enough. Maybe if we really want to make this a real good relationship and we want players to be cool with betting and we don't want them to bet, maybe the best incentive would be like, hey, like these websites, like if they have a partnership with the NBA, let's say like Prize Picks, LeBron gets like 3%, and that's a low number, but when you see how many people are betting on LeBron, he gets 3% of however much money was betted on him. Not won or lost, but let's say like there are 80, let's just say 200,000 bets in the night. Some $5, some $10, $15, all in value. And we put it all on LeBron. And they do the calculations. That has to be full transparency. And he gets 3% every night. Every night that he's played and all that stuff. I think, I don't think it's a crazy idea. And that money comes straight from, the website or the company that's in partnership with the NBA. So it's like a part of their salary. I don't think it's crazy that like 10 years from now, we're going to have percentages in betting based off player props, valuable props, and players. That's weird because it is kind of weird because if it's intellectual property, right? If a corporation's not they're not unison with the business, how can they actually use their name and likeness? I don't know. I'm kind of ignorant on that part. But obviously, you have partnership, whatever. But I don't know. Moral of the story is, that's how you know you made it. If they actually care if you're betting on yourself, See, you know what? I don't want to hear nothing. I'm betting on myself, It's like, no one gives a fuck. There's no value to you betting on yourself. You know, you're not moving the goalposts. I'm sorry, like, you know what? I'm moving to Wisconsin. New job opportunity, new life. I'm betting on myself. And guess what? Whether you go there, get a good job, and find the love of your life, or whether you go there, end homeless, shoot meth up your butthole, you know, either way, it doesn't move the needle. No one cares that you bet on yourself. But Jontay Porter, I care. He changed the game. He can say he's the first in the NBA to be banned for betting on the NBA, supposedly. But yeah. But anyway, who? Yeah. So, Zach Wilson traded to the Broncos, huh? Mile high, baby. It really doesn't fucking matter. He's going to be the fucking third string quarterback. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the fucking way. A couple things. I don't think I've talked. So, a couple new music has dropped out. Taylor Swift dropped a 31 fucking song album. Apparently, it was a 15 song album or a 16 song album. She's like, hey, 16's not enough. Let me give you 15 fucking more. I checked. The thing is 2 hours and 2 minutes. And I don't really listen to Taylor Swift, but I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to listen to the album, top to bottom. And then Drake drops another fucking diss track that is partially lame. Not gonna lie to you. It was weird because I thought it was like some bullshit fake one because it used AI, used Tupac's AI. And I get what he was doing, you know, because Kendrick's from the West Coast, California. You know, Tupac, California. Snoop Dogg, California. So he used them to kind of like, it's like they're talking to Kendrick. Like, hey, man. You have your idols. You got the best of the best from your region that are legends. And Drake just mostly wrote it from what they would say. Like, you gonna let him do you like that? Oh, I guess you're not a real one. You know, stuff like that. And then Drake actually starts using his own voice like 2 minutes into the song. And to be honest, you know, it wasn't one of those diss tracks that was really about being the most clever. People called it the biggest form of disrespect because it's almost like he didn't even use his own voice to diss you. He was like, you know, I've said enough. Let me talk. Let me tell you how the greats would view it and use there. And it was weird because like AI, and it kind of opens a can of worms. And like in music, one, using a dead person's artificial voice is weird, for one. Two, using someone who's still alive's fake voice is almost weirder in a weird way. And then using your own voice in the same song. I get what he's trying to do, and it was called the Taylor Made freestyle because, you know, Taylor Swift saying she's the biggest gangster in music right now. Basically, she's dominating everyone, and that she's the only one, kind of like a shot at K-Dot, because one, Kendrick has collabed with Taylor, which is kind of like what he's getting at, like, oh, you had to team up with different big artists so you can move up in the, you know, shit. And he's like, Taylor Swift's the only one I would move my album for, or move shit around. She's the only one. The rest of y'all, nah, not one bit. And also, Kanye. Like, I don't know what people are making this video about Kanye. Like, can I just say it? I think Kanye sucks at rapping now. Obviously not always. I mean, this is the dude that wrote the greatest bar of all time, where she couldn't get her daughter a car, so she named her Alexis. I know it sounds corny, but during the mixtape days, you know, those were the type of lines that are like, okay. And I'm not saying he sucks, but, you know, it's obviously like Kanye is not he's not a diss track type of rapper. You know, obviously he's more focused on production nowadays. I mean, he's admitted that he doesn't even write most of his music nowadays, you know. But neither here nor there. It was like, it seemed like how many remixes of this Like That song, to be honest, the Like That song by Future Metro Boomin. I don't know why I stuttered. But the Like That song, it's not really like that. Kendrick's part in it is like, okay, like it's a pretty astounding verse. It's good. It's the point he wanted to get across, he got across. But now we're just going to keep remixing it and just putting other artists on to like, oh, we're all coming after. Like, you guys can just make another fucking song that's more specific to dissing. Instead of just using the same instrumental, remixing it up a little bit and just putting another fucking person and turning this thing into a 9-minute epilogue. Like, fuck, just take the extra time and make a different song. And you could all just do a long ass diss towards them. Like, if you guys are going to, like, do a diss track, and I don't know if this has ever been done before specifically, do a diss track. Since it's going to be like 9 of you artists, you know. Have, I guess, Future, have Ricky Rose, have Kendrick, have Kanye, have Pusha if he wants to be a part of it. Have Chris Brown if he's still salty about some things, you know. I don't know. You know, he seems to... God, everyone's just fucking going after everyone. I'm pretty sure he'll have a very so-weedy verse. Huh? Get it? Huh? Get it? Okay. Alright. It's kind of fucked up when he said... I'm not laughing. It was like... It's just astounding because every reaction video I watched to Chris Brown's diss track was like... They all stopped at the same parts, you know? The same part, like 85% of the song, when he basically said, hey, we will rest in peace Takeoff. And basically saying, it's sad because everyone wished it would have been your ass, you know, type of thing. And it was like, oh, hey, man, hey. And you know the weird part is like, I don't look at Quavo as someone that's like gonna make a great ass diss track in return, because Chris Brown is a better rapper than Quavo. Like, honestly, out of the Migos, he is right. Like, Quavo is the weakest link. You are the weakest link. And it's not because like, but it's like someone like if I was watching, like, Quavo is more of like the spokesperson. He is more of like, he's like the face of the group. But, you know, P. Diddy was the face of music, you know, but, you know, there's people that are the face of a group, but they're not the group, you know, they're not the actual most talented out the group. Sometimes they are typically probably the least of the talented, and that's what they contribute to the group, is they fit in where they fit in, you know. Because Takeoff was the best just pure rapper. Offset, I would say, had like the most presence. He has like that legitimate, like, good at rapping, but he just like, you know, he kind of carries it, like when he's on the mic, like he's unique, like, you know. Quavo, like, it feels like he's just like the ad-lib guy. He says some stuff. It's okay sometimes. It's never that bad, but it's never that great. So he just kind of stays in his lane, lets everyone else cook on the song. That really is like what Quavo, and, you know. But damn, Like, it's just like, and a lot of people point to the Cat Williams. Cat Williams said everyone's going to get exposed this year. You know, people getting exposed for weird behavior, illegal behavior. And then all the fake people, all the fake ones in the industry, whether it's acting, music, entertainment of any type. If you're not really about that, it's going to be exposed. Because Chris Brown's on a lot of Percocets and Molly. He's about, like, I don't think he's really going to hold back. This dude has a lot of instances of hitting people. And I'm not just talking about the incident. This man, he's been in a lot of incidents, you know. But yeah. Whew. What a time to be alive. What a time. Yeet. God, I gotta take a massive dump. So what are we going to end the show on today? I guess, no friends in the industry. Nah, I would say the biggest thing, and you know, I was actually having this conversation last night with my special lady, is that, you know, yes, there will be people that lie their way. There will be people that fib the truth. There will be people that lie about their get down. There will be people that lie about their skills to move up in their profession. And you know what? They may get that position. They may get the initial word of, oh, you're doing big things, eh? But as, you know, my point of view is like, yeah, you know what? They may make some more money, few extra dollars. They may get a position that they lied about their skill set, and I get it. But one thing, as we're seeing this year with music and entertainment, is that you lie about what you're about. You lie about what you're capable of. You lie about what you're willing to do. And once it gets exposed, you're going to be exposed as a fraud. And when people find out that you're not about that, that not only makes people lose respect for you, but that shit sticks with you. And there is something about, you know, you can lie to the world, but you can't lie to yourself. And I know, you know, people will have mixed opinions about that. But what that really means is like, yeah, you know, you can lie to the world. You can lie to people you work with. You can lie to going out in public, perceiving a good image. But in the day, your internal dialogue of what you know you are willing to do or not willing to do in certain situations, you know that within yourself. And that fear, that anxiety of carrying something around with you, being dishonest with yourself, it's going to catch up with you. So I think the moral of it is just don't say you're about a certain life that you're not really about. You know? It's really that simple, you know? Don't lie to get to where you need to be. Take the extra time. Be honest with yourself. Go about it the right way. Just because we live in an unfair world doesn't mean the world you have to create in your aura has to be. Because if you are truly a magnetic aura and where you go, that's how shit operates. You don't let outside deterrents get in the way of your vision or your beliefs. Or it's like if you were to have a business of your home business. How you run your household, it doesn't matter if, I don't care what people tell you how they run their household. I don't care what you see on TV. I don't care what pressure says. It's like, you know what? If you run your household a certain way, when people come to your household, guess what? They're going to respect how you run your household. And they're going to take their fucking shoes off at the front door, you know, give it a nice deep scrub with the toothbrush if that's what you demand. So, at the end of the day, it's your household. You kind of artificially but naturally create the environment you want based off the actions you depict of how you live. And people pick up on that. So don't lie your way to the top. Don't try to don't promise something that you can't. Just do what you can and be honest about it. And keep the sucking dick to the dick suckers who can't even suck dick well, It's weird because the ones that suck the ones that suck dick to the top, no pun intended, they seem to be not the best ones at doing it. So they have to overcompensate and say, oh, but I'm the greatest. It's like, okay, whatever you say, darling. I feel like an executive producer right now. Yeah, whatever you say. Shut the fuck up. All right. But yeah. Be the creator of your life. And enough of that gay stuff. All right. That was episode 276 of the Off Beat Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen. Damn, I actually stare at the camera for most of this episode. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeet. All right. Have a great day, morning, evening, night, or midsummer night. I still can't read short stories. Well, that's what the podcast is for. It's just one short story after another. All right. Ooh, snap, crackle, pop. This groin.